So the hype for Unrivaled keeps building up, and I thought UConn's Geno Auriemma had some interesting words about it. Obviously, he was one of the initial investors in the league, so he's partial to it. Some of his players are there, so he's partial to it. Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier both played at UConn. They are the co-founders of Unrivaled, so he has some personal bias attached. But some of the points he made I thought were valid because he talked about how it could carry over into the summer, and it's a great idea. And one of the things I've seen that has carried over to the hype around Unrivaled is the level of attention it's getting to start, which, one, it's novel, so it's new. There's a curiosity factor. But two, when you look at the explosion of the WNBA in Caitlin Clark's rookie year, you got a lot of players whose profile was raised tremendously, where there are some casual fans who maybe could have named a player or two or a couple of players who can now rattle off a bunch of the players in the league. And, beyond Sabrina Ionescu per se or Angel Reese, but Kalia Copper and Jackie Young and Satu Sabali and so on and so forth, Arike Agumbawale, they can rattle off a ton of players who are going to play. So if you get a curiosity factor, you've got new star power because a lot of the profiles of these women, these great players, has been elevated. And then it is an entertaining product. It could indeed carry over into the WNBA season. And it is a great idea given there's a huge break. So when you got people starving for content and for basketball, feed them. And that's what Unrivaled is going to do. So here is what the head coach of the UConn Huskies had to say about Unrivaled when he was asked about it at a press conference. And I sort of paraphrase, but here were his actual words.
I think it's a great concept. Obviously, I was thrilled to be asked to participate in it. The level of play that these players bring, the level of competition that is going to be evident when they play. The fact that a lot of people tuning in know something about these players and maybe haven't seen enough of them, that will certainly help grow their individual brand, who they are, but also the WNBA. So I think the popularity of who they are, these kids, these women, is going to carry over into next summer, because they certainly have the biggest names in the league playing. It's another push towards getting the best players to stay here and not have to travel overseas to supplement their incomes. And you can't discount too the competitive level is going to help them improve. And I think going into next summer is a huge is a huge moment for the league. And the people that that had the idea about this league, Stewie and Fisa and their respective groups. Brilliant. I think it's a brilliant idea. And I'm excited. I'm excited to support it, and I just think it's going to be a home run for everybody involved.
I agree with almost everything he said. I mean, the only thing you could nitpick is they have all the best players, or they certainly have the best players in the league or the biggest names in the league. They do, for the most part. They're just missing a couple. Number one being Clark. I'm not bringing her up to bring her up. That's just the truth. And Asia Wilson would be the other one, obviously. But regardless, they did get some great big name players. They will have tremendous competition. I am super excited about it. And I think the fans are too. I think you could see it. You could see it bubbling, and even some of the social media stuff. They're the Angel Reese and Kalia Copper back and forth online, where Angel's calling her grandma and sort of jokingly, cheekily recruiting her to the sky in the future. Though I think Copper was already there, and she's under contract, so kind of nonsense. But you get the point. And she says, "Go on timeout now," and she's calling her grandma. And then the shots we see of all the players and the new uniforms and the excitement that has brought. I mean, Kate Martin in her threads for Unrivaled, it was a New Year's post, but she got a Caitlin Clark comment in there. Looks good in those laces threads with the love and the heart emoji. But we've seen, Aaliyah Boston get a ton of shine, Lexi Hull and Angel Reese and Satu Sabali and Sabrina Ionescu reunited. Just a bunch of that hype from seeing it, and that's not even including Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, who are obviously two tremendous players, and that's without even seeing the players take the floor and what it's going to look like, what the presentation is going to look like. But I think from the hype, that's already been a success. I think the promotion has already been a success. The question is, will the product be a success? But I echo most of Geno Auriemma's sentiment there. I mean, I've said from the beginning, it's a good idea in the sense that, it's another alternative for monetary compensation without having to go overseas. It's another way to continue to grow the women's game, because the WNBA offseason is just simply too long. I mean, that's a long break. Now you got something in between. And it is another way to feature some of these players who everybody was complaining that, not everybody got enough shine, though I would argue everybody's profile got raised, like I said. But at the same time, they will get more of the spotlight on them, their specific game in the construct of this, especially in the 3-on-3 format, where you'll get to see some of the skills and breakdown abilities of certain players on display. And then there will be that momentum as it carries over into the next WNBA season, because once Unrivaled starts, there's no stopping. There's free agency, and there's going to be a lot of talk about recruiting in Unrivaled with free agency. So you're going to have that. Then you're going to have Unrivaled. Then you're going to have the WNBA draft right after Unrivaled. And then you're going to have the WNBA season right after that. So we're only 2 weeks away from the on-ramp, not to mention March Madness and college basketball in between, but that's a different thing. Regardless, I get, Geno Auriemma has a vested interest in this and the success of it, but I also thought he made valid points there. And I feel it. I feel the buzz around Unrivaled. I see it in the comment section too. I mean, some of y'all who were sort of against it seem to be at least curious about it. So I'll definitely be covering it once Unrivaled begins.